Hey guys, I'm here to give you my Bojack, yellow Bojack deck profile for the limited series tournament from back in February that I reached top 8 with. There's been a few people asking for a quick deck profile. I'll also be doing a much more in-depth kind of walkthrough of how to play the deck and the kind of best synergies for it, but I'm going to take you quickly through the deck that I used in the tournament, just very quick kind of strategies for how it runs and that kind of thing. I'm going to assume, if you're watching, that you know most of what the yellow Bojack cards do, so I won't be going over kind of each card's effect in depth for the older cards. So yeah, let's jump into it. So it's a 53 card deck using the old yellow leader. Uses, for the most part, most of the old Bojack package. So you have kind of the Boujack, we're running 4 of, 4 Beto, 3 Zangier, 2 of the Arrival of the Space Pirates, which I've considered cutting, but it can come in clutch when you need it to. 4 of the Anniversary Box Galactic Disruptor, which lets you awaken with an effect. The 4 of the Pirate's Pride, 4 of the 8 drop, which is your kind of win condition. 3 Resident Agents of Destruction, 3 Violent Rush, again, which is from the Anniversary Box. 2 Poutine, 2 Raiders Warcry, 4 of the Angel Destroyer rare dual color energy, 4 Zamasu, 3 Max Power Kamehameha, 3 Final Flash, 3 Unison of Fury Vegeta, and at the time I was running a Sin Shenron Negative Energy Incarnate as the secret rare, because this was before the Battle Evolution booster. So yeah, outside of the main Bojack package, I'll take you through kind of some of the outside picks and why I went through with them. The early stuff kind of speaks for itself. So obviously you use the Bujin to play Beto or Zangier and then get the Beto out. You want to be playing these pretty much every turn you can to get the card draw, because obviously the leader doesn't draw on its unawakened or its awakened side, and it also gets nothing when you do awaken, which kind of sucks. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So you want to be playing these cards at least one Bojack Brigade a turn to get the card draw. Turn 2, ideally you want to get this guy on the field. So his activate main, or not on the field, sorry, you want to have him in hand. So his activate main is when you ditch him from hand, you awaken and draw 2. So that's kind of, you want a hard mulligan if you can to get him in hand. If you don't pull him, it's not the end of the world. But if you don't have him in your starting hand after mulligan, you basically want to put out as many Betos as you can to search top 5 and grab him. He's your super key piece to awaken early, which is what kind of keeps you afloat. Turn 2 and 3. Yes, turn 2 you want to go to the Galactic Disruptor and then kind of set yourself up for future turns. You want to try and hard mulligan for the Angel and Destroyer as well, so you have a dual color energy, because the Bojack counter, which is your 3-drop evolve target, your main 3-drop evolve target, he only becomes a 1-cost counter and play if you have a blue and yellow energy. So you want to try and get out the Destroyer Angel as early as possible, preferably on turn 2, because turn 1 you want to draw with one of these and play into them. So turn 2 you obviously play your dual color energy, ditch the Galactic Disruptor to draw 2, and then you kind of leave yourself. You can leave energy open for a counter, or you can play something if you want the extra draw. It's kind of matchup dependent. Turn 3, you can, again, it's kind of matchup dependent what you want to do, but as long as you have preferably 2 of these in hand, the Pirate's Pride, chances are if you drop one on your opponent's turn 3 with a counter, they're going to try and get rid of it because they know the 8-drop is coming to evolve on top of it. So if you have 2, it just kind of solidifies your board a little bit and gives you the chance to evolve onto another target. Turn 4 speaks for itself. You tap the 4. Hopefully you're at 5 life. It's a pretty defensive deck, so it shouldn't be too difficult, unless you're going against the likes of kind of Vegeks or these other, like King Piccolo and these other kind of very heavy aggro decks. Hopefully you'll be at 5 life. So turn 4, you drop this dude, you tap down everything on their board, and then you warp their entire hand effectively. This is mainly the deck's only win con. It tends to focus around getting him out on turn 4. More often than not, he'll probably die on your opponent's next turn, so he doesn't have barrier. He doesn't have deflect, which is really annoying. It's happened a couple of times where, especially if you're playing blue, you have to be very careful. You have to basically assume that they have a God Seal in hand, especially if I've used it on board. if you do think they do that, unfortunately, there's not really a way around it. You could try and bait it out with kind of one of your arrivals, but at that point you're just setting yourself back a turn. So it is annoying, dropping all 4 of your energy on turn 4 only to get God Sealed, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So yeah, to focus on some of the outlying picks that aren't the core engine. So this top row is kind of the core engine, has been in the deck for quite some time. The Violent Rush is an awesome addition. So he has a bunch of different keyword skills. He has Energy Exhaust, Barrier, Unique, Aegis, Aegis Blue Yellow for 1 yellow energy. This card's actually picked up tons of kind of attention recently because of Mecha Freezer. It's played pretty heavily in Mecha now because it's just so good. You drop a blue yellow from hand, you untap 2, and you draw. And obviously you play it with the Bojack leader. When you play him, you draw anyway. So yeah, he's a super good card to have in. The Poutine, again, works super duper well with the deck. Obviously so much around the deck focuses on tapping stuff down. So it works just really well in general with it. The 4 of the Angel Destroyer rares, I put them in instead of Beerus Fickle God, mainly because Fickle God it's good, like it's a solid card, but this card is effectively, it's a good battle card in its own right, as well as being potentially available on turn 2 when you charge it. There's the potential to bring it in live instead of having its energy exhaust go off. So yeah, I mean it's pretty much your bog standard kind of Bojack engine if you're used to playing it. Honestly, the MVP is definitely the Unison of Fury, with stuff like Dark Broly and those kind of decks which play the big battle cards. If you can get this guy out on turn 2 or 3, you effectively lock them down until they reach 4 or 5 energy, which keeps you safe, keeps you at 5 life. So your 8 drop will go off and trigger and tap down all this stuff. He is also his last activate main, so you -3, choose more of your opponent's energy, rest that, and then he gets plus 5k double strike dual attack. So you have a 20k double strike dual attack that taps energy down for -3, which is it's really, really good. There are a couple of things that would change now with the introduction of Battle Evolution, mainly getting rid of the Sin Shenron. He is really good. He's a 35k blocker, well, effectively a 30k blocker when you block with him, that just restands himself and can block as many times you want him to until he dies, basically. But the kind of synergy with the Bojack deck comes from his permanence. So his energy cost gets reduced by 1 for each card in your drop with an energy cost of 1, and there are tons in this deck. So you have Bujin, Beidou, Final Flash, Max Power Kamehameha, Arrival of the Space Pirates. They're all 1 cost, so it's really, really easy to get him down to 2, 3. Most games I can get him out for 1 energy by turn 4 or 5. It's just a really nice little utility card, but I do just think now Heroine's Lineage is better. Yeah, this deck was built for best of 1, because I think generally Bojack does pretty badly in best of 3, with the only win con being your 8 drop, which destroys their hand. You still don't really have a way of closing the game out. Generally, you would play him and then just pass turn. Like, for most of your turns, you won't be attacking anyway, so you don't want to give him the hand, because you want him to have as much impact as possible. Obviously, if you're playing against someone that uses a deck that kind of doesn't keep a large hand size, you're much more free to be able to attack. And obviously, you do want to get some attacks off to be able to play Zamasu, Sacred Disbelief, and Arrival your Violent Rush in. But yeah, for the most part, you would drop him, not attack, because you don't want him to be tapped so they can't target him, but he's probably going to get blown up by Max Power Kamehameha, any of the hundreds of cards which carry a battle card now. His biggest weakness is he doesn't have any protection at all once he's on board. He's really easy to get rid of. But thankfully, with the amount of kind of deck search, amount of search this deck has, with likes of Beidou and like the Arrival of the Space Pirates and Zangya and that kind of thing, it's pretty easy to build and back up again. As long as you have a Pirate's Pride, so you can kind of counter on their turn and play him, then your energy's open for you to evolve straight onto him. Or if you do have a couple of cards on board and your counter does get blown up, if you have 2 or more Bojack Brigades, you can play Galactic Disruptor for free, So he costs no energy, and then your energy is open again to evolve straight on top of him. So that's pretty much everything. It's a super quick walkthrough, this one. Again, I will be doing in the next kind of day or so a much more in-depth kind of walkthrough for people who want to kind of get to grips with how the synergy, like the deeper synergies of the deck are, and kind of pick up some strategies if you're looking to pick up Yellow Bojack. He's a really fun deck that I've been playing for I think since he's released. I've been playing him pretty much non-stop. He's my go-to for pretty much everything. Yeah, he excels in a best of one, but best of three he just doesn't perform very well because games go on for so long with your only win con being burn their hand. By the time you've won game one, you're usually at time or very quickly approaching it. And obviously, when you're in a game and you hear game two and you hear time's approaching, opponents will for the most part just rush in and try and deal as much damage to you as possible, knowing you can't really do the same to them with this deck. A couple of little side deck options. Obviously, set 13's on the horizon, coming out later on this month. Blue Bojack is a new deck. It's completely different to the yellow engine, but there are a couple of cards which I feel like they may be able to fit in. We'll start with Beto the Cruel. So he's just a 1-drop. When this card is played, draw a card. So he's a target for either Zangia or the Boujack. Once per turn, any energy. This card gets 11k power and double strike till the start of your next main phase. So it lasts throughout their turn into your next main phase, which is super good. It's not just one of those. He gets the power for the battle. Mainly he's in for card draw. So you can play him off the Boujack or the Zangia. His auto triggers, you draw a card, and your leader auto triggers and you draw another card. I think he's a nice little pick if you want to splash some blue in there. Beto the Evildoer and Boujack the Evildoer, they're both really good. Like, they cost one energy. Once you combo with them, you can basically play them from the drop for 1 energy, which is awesome, especially Beto, because if you play him on your opponent's turn, you're actually untapping energy, so you're effectively playing him for free. It is a blue energy, so it would have to be a multi. The only major issue I have with both of these in the yellow Bojack engine is they do cost 1 energy to combo. The blue Bojack leader from set 13 does negate that, so he can combo them for free, which works super well. But the yellow leader doesn't have that auto, so you will be paying effectively 2 energy to play these, which is there's just way better options in general. What I'm not sure of yet, I need to test with it a lot more than I have done, is the alternate 8-drop. So he's the same thing. He's an evolve onto a Bojack with energy cost 3 or 4, which does give him a little more room. So obviously he can evolve onto the Galactic Disruptor, the Pirate's Pride, or the Agent of Destruction. So he has one more target. There is another blue Bojack in set 13 that's 4 cost, but I don't think he fits in this deck at all because he already costs 2 once you've comboed with him to play him on the board. But it could be a really good way to close games out later on. So at the end of the battle, which is cards use a combo, you draw a card, choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards and place it at the bottom of your opponent's deck, and then play this card from your drop area. For the most part, you won't be doing that. You'll mainly just be evolving with him in this deck. So his EX Evolve is you tap 5 energy, evolve him on top, you draw 2 cards, and then his second auto is what's going to be kind of focused on. So he's double strike, dual attack, so you'd swing with him as much as you can. And then if this card's in rest mode, when your opponent attacks with a battle card, switch one of your blue energy, so multi because this deck runs no mono blue cards. One of your blue energy to active mode, then switch one of your opponent's energy to rest mode. So yeah, he has some nice synergy potentially, and he's a good way of kind of giving the deck a way to close out with damage that it just doesn't have otherwise. But I will be testing more with it going forward. But yeah, that's the kind of general gist. So general game plan for a kind of final note is you want to get a dual color energy charged by turn 2. You want to make sure absolutely you have your Galactic Disruptor in hand by turn 2, so you can awaken early, draw the 2 cards from his effect, which is effectively kind of a pseudo awaken since the leader doesn't have an awaken skill. Turn 3, as long as you have an energy open, you're kind of free to play around or fill your board or anything else you want. Then turn 4, obviously you drop your Bojack the Plunderer. One last little thing, the Violent Rush, if you can get him out, the earlier the better. I would probably recommend actually most games that tend to he has the most impact on is if turn 1 you have him in hand and a super combo. I'd actually swing with your leader if you went second in your first turn. Swing with leader, combo the Sacred Disbelief. Even if it doesn't rest anything down, it feels like a bit of a waste, but getting this guy on board sets you up so well for future turns. His Aegis skill is just, it's incredible for this deck. Like if on their turn they swing, you Aegis, you draw a card, untap 2, then you basically spend that 2 energy straight away and play Raider's Warcry. You tap down another card and you draw, so you're effectively drawing 2, tapping down one of their cards, and you have a double strike 20k on board. And he has barrier as well, which is just super nice, so he's really difficult to get rid of at the minute. Not many decks at the moment have too much of an answer for barrier, which is really, really nice. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Again, there will be another video coming in the next kind of day or so, which goes much more in depth, explores more of the synergies, goes way more in depth into each of the cards. If you're not quite sure what any of the core Bojack engine does, you will learn more about it. Yeah, I think that's everything from me. So feel free to subscribe. You'll get the notification when the new video drops. There'll be loads more coming with the arrival of set 13. I'll probably do a profile for blue Bojack and red Bardock. If you have any comments or want to know more about it, just leave them down below. Thank you very much.